But
Eating bad.
but let's get into our first part of news and our catch-up week news. And it's already kind of hitting a little hard, a little surprise. And it's from a studio that we all know them very well. And we know how they like just doing so many things. And we're going to talk about that. Well, let's talk about Ubisoft. We have talked about Ubisoft before. We talked about like all their games in development. We talked about like what is going on with them, what games that we think are going to make it, not make it, and whatnot. But we hear news that Ubisoft canceled 3 announced games, followed by Skull and Bones is delayed for the 6th time. The 6th time! We saw this game back in November with previews, with video work, delay to March. And now it's delayed again to sometime in 23, maybe 2024. And so, but my question first, before we even get into our new segment idea I'm doing here called the In-Game Boss Challenge, Jerron, let me ask you, is Ubisoft becoming this studio where we're believing there are just too many cooks in the kitchen? Is there just too many things going on there? And it's like, why are you guys doing so much? Like, what is your thoughts on that? Is they're doing too much or they're not doing enough? What's your...
It's not a matter of doing too much or not doing enough. I would like to romanticize it saying, oh, well, they're just trying to avoid the crunch culture. It's like, no, they are... Their excuse is to focus energy on brands and live services. My reading between the lines is we put out way too much underperforming stuff. We need to monetize our live services better. And we need to stick with the hits and make them must-owns. So that's why we're still going to get Assassin's Creed. That's why we're still going to get some form of Tom Clancy, Rainbow Six, or something like that, you know. And I mean, hell, I don't even know if we're going to get another Mario Rabbids because the new one, you know, critically good, but financially, they want more
I say
money.
give it time. I mean, I don't believe that the first game really was selling big at the beginning either. I think it just took some time, and then before you know it, they sold 1 million, and then they'll probably, you know, reconsider that idea. But I think it's too many cooks in the kitchen. I think there's just too many games in development. You're looking at the Prince of Persia, you're looking at the Star Wars game, you're looking at the Avatar game, you're looking at the Beyond Good Evil 2, you're looking at, you know, another Assassin's Creed on top of the one we know, probably
Splinter Cell.
Yeah, Splinter Cell, something in the Ghost Recon field maybe after like a couple of failed attempts. Definitely Rainbow Six is doing well, so there's got to be something going on with that, you know, because we talked about in our last conversation that like Ubisoft name a country exists studios. If you look up Wikipedia, you will see a long list of how many studios they own. And you're like, why are they doing so much? And they're wearing themselves thin. That is, it's almost ridiculous.
I mean, they are. It's one of those calculated corporate risks. You know, we expanded so be we didn't bring in the money we wanted, so we're canceling projects to focus the staff, limit risk, and be more profitable in the future, which basically means we gambled, we didn't pan out too well, we crapped out a little bit, so we're shrinking it back down. Mm-hmm. That's, you know, I mean, I understand from, you know, the capitalist pig in me understands, but you're messing around with some really beloved IPs. I don't know someone who wouldn't love to have Splinter Cell back.
It is in development, so, you know, we'll find out. So
for now,
yeah. In my notes, I'm actually going to switch some stuff around. We're going to do the first for that one for the first challenge. Let's go to our first in-game boss challenge here. What do we think these 3 unannounced games would have been? You know, new IP, new games based on recent IP games. And first off, before you even go anywhere, I want to tell people about a couple of hours ago, or probably a couple of days ago as I speak of this, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still active and is still in development, so it is not dead. And it doesn't count as an unannounced game. So, but I'm glad that that's still in the works, because, like, if you're going to save Skull and Bones for the 6th time, Beyond Good and Evil should not suffer because of that. You know, but that's another thing. But what do you think these 3 unannounced games would have been? You know, I would throw Star Wars in there, maybe. You know, yes, it was announced, but maybe We don't know
Back to the
anything
drawing
about it.
board. Yeah.
We know Massive Games doing it. The people that are doing Divinity 2. I mean, Divinity and probably Divinity 2, of course, coming around the corner, right? But is there anything you can think of from any of the, or even new? Do you think they're doing something different that you think, a new shooter, new RPG, new adventure?
I think it was going to be like some type of the Division tie-in, because it's been a handful of years since the Division 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of them. Another one was probably going to be like a little mini Assassin's Creed game, because they got the feudal Japan one in the works, and they may do one in China.
I don't know, man. Assassin's Creed's too good. I don't think they cancel an Assassin's Creed game. Has there ever been an Assassin's Creed game that we know of that have been canceled that we know of?
Canceled, no. Delayed, or the scope shrunk down, I wouldn't be surprised. And there's that doorbell. Luckily, my lovely and beautiful partner will be obtaining that visitor.
The dogs disagree with him, by the way.
Special bark guest star.
Yep.
Aries. But I will say, I still think, I know Assassin's Creed has been one of their cash cows. But I still say there's an Assassin's Creed that probably didn't make the cut.
Okay.
My third one, another Watch Dogs game.
Okay, so I think you hit one of those. I think it is a Watch Dogs game, because I think Legion didn't do as well as they want, on account of it came out at a time where other Ubisoft games were coming out, and I think they almost like sabotage each other. I want to say that was around like 2020, 2021. People can look that up and let me know. But I would say yes. I think a Watch Dogs game was canceled. I think that franchise arguably might have just had its moment, and then it's over. Watch Dogs has gone through different ideas, and it feels like, what do you do next for Watch Dogs?
It sucks because it's all related. It's all tied in. But the kicker is, there's so much there to explore.
Right.
But unfortunately it devolved into go here, go to this tower, expand this. The first Watch Dogs really, really cooled a lot of people's excitement on it, because it got people excited to think, I can hack anything anywhere and change this. And then it came out and it was like, dirt. You can hack some stuff. You can shoot some stuff. You can drive cars.
Didn't really take the full opportunity.
Yeah, you can't do any of it particularly well. Watch Dogs 2, this is how messed up it is. I heard Watch Dogs 2 is actually pretty decent, but nobody played it. I didn't even play it.
I didn't either. I wanted to, but it was never I never forced myself to do it either. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Watch Dogs Legion, heard it was very good. I have a copy that I got when a rental store was going out of business.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't touched it yet.
I
heard it was okay.
I think there was a Rayman game that got canceled.
You really think they went there?
Oh, I think a Rayman. My only suspicion is because Rayman was going to be a DLC for the Mario and Rabbids, and maybe the Rayman could have helped. Maybe do coming that out. Maybe hint a new trailer for him, and then maybe announce a new Rayman in development. I mean, it's possible in that way, because we haven't seen a Rayman since Legends. It's been almost coming on over. I think if or not over 10 years since another Rayman game, which those two games are acclaimed one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best 2D platformers up there of that generation of consoles. And I think this was the perfect opportunity to put Rayman in the Rabbit thing. Could give you some hope of maybe they care about Rayman, maybe a new Rayman's coming out, maybe not exactly like the ones like those 2D platforms, which the developer, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but he left. But he was part of that project. So I don't know are we going to get a new 2D Rayman, or are we going to get the kind of the other Rayman that was 3D at the time, those old school ones in a new light. I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if Rayman was in that idea, because hell, Prince of Persia was coming back. They're trying to do something with these IPs.
True. The thing is, Rayman, it's funny because the Rabbids got their start in Rayman.
Exactly.
And now they're getting more exposure than Rayman.
Mm-hmm.
But I I play a little bit of Rayman Legends, like it has cool little 4-player party modes and stuff, and it was fun. Wasn't my wasn't my jam, but I couldn't deny that it was fun. It controlled well. The colors were bright. It was a lot of great ideas. It was a game that was well made. It was meant to be played by someone, just not me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm inclined. You make a very good argument that it could be a Rayman game. Considering how a lot of games sit in development for 2, 3, Skull and Bones 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
it would make sense that it would be a Rayman. So I don't know. You might have a good point there.
What do you think of a Rainbow Six? Because remember, Rainbow Six Patriot got canceled, and then we got Siege. You think another Rainbow Six game maybe got canceled?
It's possible. I mean, Rainbow Six did get their they had to change it from quarantine to something else. Extraction.
Yeah, Extraction. That's what it is. Yeah.
So they still got theirs. So that works out.
Mm-hmm.
And Rainbow Six Extraction was it's like magic tricks. It's like but yeah, so Rainbow Six Extraction did come out, and Rainbow Six Siege is still going strong.
Mm-hmm.
I think they probably had several Rainbow Six games because, I mean, if you look at all the Rainbow Six games, at one point there was like 2, 3 coming out a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not out of the realm of possibility. It was probably a solo type of adventure, and it's not live service, so it's got to go.
Yeah, I miss the old Rainbow Six. Like Vegas is still one of my very favorite ones that I used to play on the 360.
Everybody still talks about Vegas to this day.
Hell, if it was, it'd be heartbroken if they said it was a Vegas 3. That would be like very heartbroken. They're like, oh man,
they're like, hey, you didn't give Extraction enough love. Vegas 3 canceled.
Well, I mean, shoot. I mean, remember the Ghost Recon game, X Defiance? That was a thing, and then they dropped the Ghost, and now I think it's just X Defiant. But like Ghost Recon is getting the most love. I mean, it got like that game, a BR game. I believe that got canceled, and then this X Defiance that just now dropped the Ghost Recon they got treated very well. Too much, actually. Yeah. I think they were trying to push that as the Assassin's Creed games, but now I think Far Cry is definitely not on this list of an unannounced game. I think Far Cry is Far Cry, and so
Far Cry is gonna get its pound of flesh.
Yeah, and and that game comes out very every 2 or 3 years, I would argue.
Yeah,
and so
they've mastered a rotation that makes even Activision jealous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hell, it used to be Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, and a Rainbow Six game.
Yeah, in that rotation with a couple of like artsy kind of games, because Ubisoft did step away a lot from the more indie style artsy kind of games, as we talked about, like Child of Light and Valiant Heart, that kind of stuff. Ubi Art, I believe that was what's called at the time.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, they haven't completely abandoned it, but they're definitely not going back to that For Honor stuff.
No, I don't. Ooh, that's a good thing. I forgot about For Honor.
Yeah, a lot of people did.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the funny part. We forgot about it, but we also should not forget that they stuck with that game for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, there were parts that was fun, and they were still releasing like characters for it up until like
there was a fan base for it.
Year or 2 years ago. Yeah. People played on the PC, which I don't know how, but the gamepad, that's where the action was at. It was as close as you were getting to, actual fighting and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I think my issue, I think a lot of people have, is Ubisoft. Two things I think people are saying. One, Ubisoft tends to chase the trend and always falls behind instead of making a new trend. And two, sometimes they come up with ideas that questions of who is this for? Like, remember the rollerball game that came out that no one is talking about? Nobody was that?
Played it.
You played it? Oh, okay. I don't know.
Nobody.
I don't know who. That was a game that got announced a while back. Totally never talked about anymore. Then just popped up again and then came out. I'm like, who is this for? The BR game that they did. That's hyperspace or whatever. I forgot what it was called.
Hyper. Yeah,
Hyperscape.
yeah,
Hyperscape.
Hyperscape.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Hyperscape. Yeah. Where are they going with that? It feels like that this is hot. We're going to get there in time, and we're going to try to get there in time. And then by the time doing it, it's like, well, you came, but now there's too many Triumph ones. I mean, you're going against Apex and Call of Duty. Like anytime you're going against those two companies, especially Activision when it comes to shooter, you might as well kind of step back and figure out something else if they're already dominating, because you're always going to be compared to that, right?
No, Battlefield. This latest Battlefield iteration sucked, and it still outperformed Hyperscape.
Yes, I'm glad that and it's funny because like Call of Duty, not Call of Duty, but Battlefield has not done a dedicated BR game. There was a feature in 5,
yeah,
but not a dedicated like Warzone as for example. And
and 5's reception scuttled that because they were going to do some type of, but nothing to where it's free to play like Warzone.
My thing is I think maybe get canceling these 3 games. It's sad for I hope it's not a Rayman game as I'm predicting, but I'm glad. I think it's a good idea because us want to hear the games that you announced a while back and what they're doing here. Like stop trying to worry about like the next thing. Which also too, let's add. I think maybe they were all game of service. I mean that makes a lot of sense if they're all game of service games, right? Because if I think that's what they're trying to do. If they can't be in development of a game like Beyond Good and Evil and all those games. Those taking too long. So having those 3 games be those kind of games wouldn't make sense. I think it had to be a game of service games, something that's quick and get to the point. Like with your mobile games, maybe a new trial game that got canceled. I don't know, but like I'm saying, like we let's worry about the games that you did announce. And I'm pretty sure the picture that I post as my thumbnail for this will kind of show you what games that have been in development, either from Prince of Persia, the Star Wars game, the Avatar game. You have like 8 games in development that you announce, and we have not seen any of those yet. It's almost up there with the Xbox announcing all these games, and they're not out yet. So we are up there with that. So